Pang Walla Walla Bing Bang.
Can you translate that for me?
Yes, you ordered the large Big Mac. The Big Mac you ordered was large. Large, big Mac.
Oh, wow. Well, what better way to introduce our 50th episode of the Drop Some Knowledge podcast?
50.
We're middle-aged.
Damn.
And we're going through a midlife crisis and we need your help.
I need to buy a Jag.
We need to buy a Jag.
Jag.
Yes. And aside from helping us buy a Jag, please share the podcast with a friend.
Yes.
Seriously, though, do it because we're sad, alone, and a little bit depressed. But that's okay because
we're doing fine.
We're doing fine.
Okay.
Yes, we're doing fine. Thank you for listening to 50 of these. If you have listened, and if anyone's actually listened to all of them,
wow,
that is sad.
Good on you.
But good on you, and thank you very much. We love you. Yeah.
Well, where can people listen to us?
Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Find us on TikTok.
Yeah.
And Instagram.
We try to be everywhere. We try to...
Like a rash.
Yeah.
Yes, we're like a throbbing hot rash in an area that you don't want it to be.
Whoa.
Now, enough formalities.
50
episodes. Wow.
Here we go. Let's bring it in.
This episode is about different types of rashes.
So, sometimes when you're with the... We've spoken about my schooling before on the show, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that time you went to military camp.
Military camp.
Yes.
Band camp. Space camp. Fat camp.
Yeah, fat camp. You couldn't call it that anymore.
No, you really couldn't.
That's for sure.
It's exercise camp, I think.
So, is that what the episode's on?
No, it's not.
Oh, great.
But I did psychology at university. Did a number of years of that, and I went nowhere with it because it hurt my brain.
Great. University is worth it, kids.
No, it is. A little. It's good. But we're going to be talking about, so I did psychology. We're actually going to be talking about a particular experiment that got a lot of press, got a lot of exposure, and is continuing to get exposure to this day.
Well, look, you've reeled me in.
Oh, good.
You've reeled me in with this, and I want to know.
All right, well, here it is. Have you ever heard of the Stanford prison experiment?
No, but it sounds cool.
Excellent. Okay, so we're casting back to 1971.
Yes, a better time.
A better
A
time.
safer time.
Absolutely.
No one had to lock their doors.
No. People could just walk in and out and
murder,
take things.
Like lives. Oh, God.
California.
Yeah.
USA.
California.
Knows how to party.
Oh, no.
California.
Tell me the story.
Anyway, so
I want to know. You've intrigued me.
Funded by the US Navy.
And
here we go.
Even
funded by the military. Okay, we already know where this is going. But
it's like Space Force.
Exactly. Yes. Check that out.
Watch that episode.
Great episode.
Great.
So,
episode.
1971, a team of psychologists headed by Dr. Philip Zimbardo embarked on an interesting psychological study, which investigated the effect of role playing, labeling, and role. Did that get you? Did it?
Yeah, frog in my throat.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
And social expectations on behaviour. Okay, over a period of 2 weeks. Keep that in mind.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
1 fortnight for our Commonwealth
14
listeners.
days. However, this experiment didn't go as planned.
A little smile on your face.
Oh, yeah. Look, I've done a little bit of research on this previously when I was at uni, and it was amazing.
All right.
Amazing. So, Zimbardo and his team put out an ad around the Stanford University campus in California, which boasted all expenses paid, 7 to 14-day period of a $15 per day.
Okay.
$15 per day. Now, in 2022, you're looking at about just over $100, between $100 and $110.
Inflation,
and again, this is US, so you're looking probably at $120
a day.
A day.
To go on this camp.
To go on this effectively, yeah.
Okay.
It's a psychological study of prison life
Interesting.
was what it was. So more than 70 young men applied for the experiment, but only 24 were selected.
Was there a criteria to be selected?
To be physically and mentally, and in quotations, stable.
Yes.
So no
because
one would
the
be able
stable
to,
ones applied.
no one would be able to go and do that now. No one is stable. TikTok has shown me that.
Yes.
No one is stable.
Yes.
Anyway,
Anyway.
24 subjects.
Great.
Okay. All university students. Okay. Ages ranging
Yep.
within that state.
Okay.
So unknown to them, they were on a random basis halved.
Okay.
So you had 12 that became guards
Yep.
and 12 that became prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the role of the guard was given uniforms,
Yep.
fully equipped as such. So they had a wooden baton, they had a shirt that they got from Tesco's.
Little hat. Yep,
this
cool.
sort of thing. But what specifically they got given was mirrored aviator sunglasses.
Fantastic.
Now, why do you think that would be the case?
So you can't see their eyes.
Correct.
Ooh.
Well done. Correct.
Yes.
So, like I said, to finish off the full look, they were all given mirrored aviators to help prevent eye contact
Okay.
and to keep them a little bit more unknown.
And
Okay.
it made everyone feel like they were in Top Gun.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I mean, that didn't come out for another 10 years, but
Oh, yes.
Not
Correct.
bad.
We're in the 70s, aren't
in
we?
the 70s, 1971.
That's on me.
That's okay.
Little did they know. Hindsight is
know.
a beautiful thing.
It's a great thing. Now,
Tom Cruise would have still looked the same age,
oh, absolutely. He would have, and he would have
even
still
if
had
he
that-
was 7.
Yeah, exactly. And he still would have been able to run for miles.
Have you? Yeah. How funny is Tom Cruise? Like when you see Tom Cruise run in a movie,
Yeah.
it's just like the most Tom Cruise run, but it's almost like he's always off the ground and his feet
Yes.
never touch. But his running style is so aggressive.
It's the opposite of what, like, the Olympic walk is, where you have to have at least 1 foot on the ground at every given moment. He is constantly just hovering.
Yes, he is aquaplaning.
Aquaplaning constantly.
I'd like Tom Cruise aquaplanes when he runs. Now, I would love to see a video
Yes.
of Usain Bolt breaking down Tom Cruise's running form.
Whoa, that would be so good.
How good is that? And I'd like to see Tom Cruise run against an athlete. Not because I think Tom Cruise would win, but he looks really fast.
Oh yeah, is Usain Bolt on TikTok? I'm sure, surely, or Instagram. Can someone like hashtag him or
If
like
anyone
at
out there
him?
knows anyone who's got a little bit of juice in the game,
Yeah.
get it done.
Get it done, please. We need him to actually give us a rundown,
Correct.
point by point.
Yes.
Of
Yes.
Anyway, we digress as normal.
Correct.
The students that were given, the students that were guards were basically had to go through the normal, all right, we're going to check you, make sure that you do your
Vetting
blood work.
process.
Yeah, they make you do blood work, all this sort of stuff for the guards. All right, so normal physicals.
Okay.
Prisoners, all right, so you got 12 blokes that were prisoners. They were 100% arrested
Ooh.
by real police
Okay.
in their homes, in their workplaces, so in front of people.
Yeah. Did they
in
know
front of
these
the
guys
public.
were coming?
No.
No.
And this is the
They
thing.
knew they signed up to something.
Correct.
But
they
they
knew they
didn't-
signed up. They had no idea
They were
when-
going to be the prisoners.
Yes.
They thought they would be one or the other.
Yes.
Okay.
So the guards obviously knew that they were guards. They were told very quickly on,
Yes.
very early on, hey, we're going to come and get you to do a physical.
Yeah.
We're going to give you all your uniform and stuff, and we're going to give you a rundown of what you can and can't do effectively. Okay. Whereas the prisoners were never told what was happening.
Yeah.
They just got told, yep, you're in the thing, you're in the study. We'll let you know when it starts.
Okay.
They were not told anything. They were picked up at school, at work, and family homes, their own
Wherever.
homes, in front of onlookers, the whole 9
A
yards.
real arrest.
Hands behind, done. Hands behind the back, everything shoved into the back of the car and taken to the facility, which was actually the basement of one of the buildings at the Stanford University.
Okay.
Which
But they
was
wouldn't
made
have
up.
known that.
No,
obviously.
they were pretty much just thrown down there. The only people that knew were the experimenters, like the psychologists and the guards.
The guards.
Okay, so the students that were called prisoners, like I said, was taken to a mock prison in the basement of Stanford University. The day before the experiment actually began, small mock prison cells were set up to hold 3 prisoners each. Okay, there were a small corridor for the prison yard and a closet for solitary confinement.
Ooh.
And a bigger room across from the prisoners for the guards and the warden.
Okay.
Okay, so the warden was one of the psychologists.
Yep.
The experiment was conducted in an 11-meter section of the basement of the Jordan Hall in the Stanford Psychology Building. The prison had 2 fabricated walls, one of the entrance and one at the cell wall to block observation.
Yep.
Each cell... Now, how big is the room we're in, Josh? Do you, like...
Oh, you'd probably be looking at like 3 by 2.5-ish,
Yeah, okay,
or like
so-
maybe 2.5.
Great. So I say 2.5 by 2.5. Now, we're going to drop that down because each cell holding 3 people, don't forget,
Oh no.
is 1.8 meters by 2.7 meters.
Yes, that's small.
That holds not only that holds beds, so 3 beds.
I was going to say, what do they have in these cells? Beds. Just beds.
That's it,
Okay.
right? So with a mattress, sheet, and a pillow for each night until the end of the study. So they could only stay within the cell or within the confines of the 11-meter square area
Yes.
for the whole time.
Okay.
The guards had 8-hour shifts, 3 of them at a time, 8-hour shifts. They could leave. They didn't have to stay at the compound. They
didn't
could
have to-
go home.
Okay.
So like a normal job.
Yeah. They didn't have to stay within the facility and be
Correct.
part of the experiment at all times.
Correct.
Okay.
So you've got these guys that are staying at the school,
But they didn't know they were staying.
but they
at the
didn't
school.
know, right? They were staying in these cells constantly.
Yeah, the closest thing I can think of to this these days is have you heard much about the Adelaide Crows camp they went on in like 2017 or 18?
No. What?
So the Adelaide Crows football club in the
Yeah.
AFL went on this camp, pre-season camp to like toughen them up.
Okay.
But they basically got like taken away from their families, weren't allowed to have their phones. I don't know all the details, but they
Yeah.
made them do like disgusting things. Like they all stood in a circle and had to like hold each other's like scrotums, and they had to yell like racial slurs at certain people in the team and like abuse each other. And it's not the AFL's thing. It was like an outside camp that the Adelaide Crows signed up to go in a preseason, and it's 2022, and there's still stuff coming out about it now. It's wild.
How did I not know about
I
this?
have no idea. Have a look into it. It's
We're
it's
gonna have to.
hectic.
That's
It's hectic.
insane.
Yeah. Like players, there's been some player interviews, and some players like quit because of it. They came back. They were in the grand
Wow.
final around that time as well, and then they just
So it worked.
well, yeah, but they did this thing in the grand final called like power stance.
Yeah.
Where when the national anthem was on, they stood all standing like power rangers. There's a whole thing. Anyway, this isn't part of the podcast.
Crazy.
But like
I feel like it should be. I
This-
think it fits perfectly with what we're
this
talking
camp,
about.
yeah, sounds like what's going on in this prison.
Yeah.
Where the people sort of voluntarily go into this thing. And then it's just so much more hectic than you think, and you're going to come out like a different person. But we haven't
Wow.
got to the end yet, so
No.
who knows?
So we're going to go to day 1.
Okay.
I'm going to read an excerpt from day 1.
Great. I'm sure it'll be, and we frolicked along the prison
absolutely.
grounds with the daisies and daffodils, and we had a little cup of soup.
Exactly. So now, by the way, all the prisoners were given uniforms. They were no longer to be called by their names.
Had to
They
be
were
called by
their number.
numbers. Yep.
Okay, and all this sort of stuff. So, like I said, the guards were basically told what they could and couldn't do.
Yeah.
But I'll get to that I'll get to that in a minute. So Sunday, August 15th,
The Lord's Day.
Lord's Day, day 1.
Yes.
Participants who had been assigned a prisoner role were mock arrested by the local Palo Alto police at their homes or assigned sites. Okay. This was we're already breaching
Many laws.
things, and I'll get to that at the end.
Yes.
But we're already breaching some issues here. There were a lot of video documentation at this point. Mug shots and fingerprinting was taken, and 3 guards were prepped for the arrival of the inmates. The prisoners were then transported to the mock prison from the police stations, sirens wailing. The Stanford County Jail, they were systematically strip searched,
Okay.
given their new identities,
Yep.
so inmate identification numbers and uniforms, at a police station. So
Real police.
very real.
Yeah.
Okay, and then for 1970s, a lot of that sort of stuff, pretty frightening.
Yeah.
Pretty frightening.
Yeah.
Not that it isn't now. I'm just
No,
saying it's
but
probably a
different
little
time.
bit different
Yeah,
time.
different time.
So prisoners
No
wore...
one's got iPhones and
No,
things
exactly
back then,
right.
you know what I mean? We're not all filming everything that goes on.
Exactly. So prisoners wore uncomfortable, ill-fitting smocks without any underwear.
Oh, I had a smock when I was in kindergarten for finger painting.
I had my name printed on it.
Oh, I did not.
No, I think I made it at a friend's place.
Great.
But ill-fitting smocks without any underwear and stocking
Like
caps.
William Wallace.
Yes. Right.
Right.
These guys just didn't get the freedom, though.
Except for their balls.
As well as a chain around one ankle.
Okay. So like 1800s prison stuff.
Correct. Now, guards were instructed to call prisoners by their assigned numbers sewn onto their uniforms instead of by name, dehumanizing the prisoners.
Okay. Now we're getting into...
We've heard about all this stuff from particular camps that were in a particular country during
Whatever
a
do you
particular
mean?
war.
Yes. Well, there's only 2 to pick from.
There's
Or
only
2.
well, yeah.
Well, the 2 big ones.
The
There was other big ones. You know what I'm trying to say.
The big one.
The big one.
So the prisoners were then greeted by the warden, who conveyed the seriousness of their offences, which were completely fabricated. Okay. And their new status as prisoners.
Yep.
With the rules of the prison presented to them, the inmates retired to their cells for the rest of the first day of the experiment.
How would you be feeling
Already.
at the end of the first
So,
day?
okay, I've just arrested you, right? Fully pushed you onto the car.
Officer.
So exactly, there you go. There it is. These aren't my normal handcuffs.
These handcuffs are fluffy. Yeah. I love what you've done with your cuffs.
What are you doing, step officer?
What are you doing, step officer? Is there anything I can do to not be arrested right now, officer? I'm so sorry.
Buttons everywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've just arrested you. I've, handcuffed you, shoved you into the back of the car in front of your friends and family at your barbecue, Sunday roast.
Ah, yes.
Not your parents have no idea what's going on.
No.
The police have said nothing, and you're off to the police station. You are strip searched. You are deloused.
Yes, good word. Great word.
And given a number.
Okay. That's day 1.
Day 1. And then shoved into a cell for the rest of the day.
Day 2 it is then.
All right. So, day 2. I'll get to that shortly.
Okay.
So, experiment, like I said, this is basically where it gets really interesting.
All right.
So, we haven't even hit, this is day 1. So,
Okay.
like I said earlier, the guards were given strict instructions on what they can and can't do to the prisoners. They had to keep law and order. Pretty
Correct.
normal, all right?
Guard's job.
Correct. Guards were also instructed by the researchers to disrespect the prisoners, okay, and make them feel submissive, helpless, and unheard.
Now we're getting into dangerous territory.
Very.
Yes.
However, for 1970,
That was pretty standard stuff. They're not just hitting you with your mum jokes and stuff
no,
like that.
no.
Yes.
For example, they had to refer to the prisoners by their number rather than their name, like
Yes.
I said. However, as the experiment went on, the students that were made into guards took on a more aggressive approach to their assigned persona.
Okay. So I've started to get a little bit power hungry.
The real purpose of this experiment starts coming through, and it's only day 2.
Bum, bum, bum.
That was a rhyme.
Nice.
Monday, August 16, day 2. Guards refer to prisoners by their identification and confine them to their small cells. At 2:30 in the morning, the prisoners rebelled against the guards' wake-up calls of whistles and clanging of batons.
Okay.
Okay? So they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Prisoners refused to leave their cells to eat in the yard, ripped off their inmate number tags, took off their stocking caps, and insulted the guards.
Okay.
Okay, so still no
Trying to
physical.
rise up.
Correct. So still no physical. In response, the guards sprayed fire extinguishers at the prisoners
Okay.
to reassert control.
Like if the two dogs are fighting in
Yeah.
your grandma's house.
Exactly.
Get out of it, Bessie.
They still haven't done any physical damage.
No.
Okay. The 3 backup guards were called in to help regain control of the prison. There are now 6 guards with batons, very authoritative roles,
Yes.
against these 12
Yeah.
prisoners. Guards removed all prisoners' clothes, removed mattresses, and sentenced the main instigators to time in the hole. They attempted to dissuade any further rebellion using psychological warfare. One of the guards said to the other that, in quotes, "These are dangerous prisoners. They are starting to believe." It has only been a day.
Yeah.
This is day 2.
Yes. They're starting to get a bit in over
Power
their head.
hungry.
Power hungry.
In
Yep.
over their head. They are really taking
This
on.
is how it starts.
Very much so. Day 3. In order to restrict further acts of disobedience, the guards separated and rewarded prisoners who had minor roles in the rebellion. 3 spent time in the good cell where they received clothing, beds, and food, denied to the rest of the jail population.
Sounds lovely.
Okay. After an estimated 12 hours, the 3 returned to their old cells that lacked beds. Guards were allowed to abuse their power to humiliate the inmates. They had prisoners count off and do push-ups arbitrarily, restricted access to bathrooms, then forced them to relieve themselves in a bucket in their cells.
Delicious.
It's getting worse.
They're starting to lose the humanitarian side of everything.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Now, there are some things here. This is prisoner 8612. So these are quotes. First prisoner to leave the experiment.
So they could leave.
They could leave at any time. Did they play it out? Nope. So prisoner 8612, actually named Douglas Corpy, after 36 hours...
Chappelle's brother.
Correct.
Granddad, sorry. This is in the 70s.
After 36 hours...
Yes.
Okay. He had an apparent mental breakdown into which he yelled, "Jesus Christ, I'm burning up inside. I can't stand another night. I just can't take it anymore." They immediately released him.
Okay.
So,
Or at least there's some sort of,
correct.
sympathy, or it's still an experiment at the end of the day.
Josh, how many days do you think this experiment went on for before?
Well, so what I'm seeing here,
You're seeing a pretty big trend, right?
what I'm seeing here is that the experiment may be less about what I initially thought, where you're seeing how people will react in prison, and maybe it's more about seeing how people react when given a certain level of power and how they will abuse the power.
Correct. And this is exactly, they weren't expecting it to be at this level. Day 3.
That is, yeah. So I'm going to guess they lasted, I'll go 5 days.
You're almost there, 6 days.
6 days.
But this is how bad it got. So, witnessing the guards divided prisoners, this is day 4. Based on their good or rebellious behaviour, the inmates started to distance themselves from one another. Rioters believed that the prisoners were snitches and vice versa. So now the prisoners are against each other. So you've now segregated the prisoners completely.
Yeah.
There's moments where like people are like, crying out loud, repeatedly going, "This person is a bad prisoner. They're the bad prisoner. You have to look out for them."
You're losing all your sense of like consciousness or
Correct.
Reality of what's going on around you.
Exactly. And they would start yelling this sort of stuff out in order to get the good things again. I want my bed. I want to be able to sleep. Let me sleep.
Yeah. It's now gone to like an every man for themselves sort of thing.
Exactly. So day 5, the day was scheduled for any visitations by friends and family. They would actually make them wait longer periods of time to actually go and see them. So it's like, yeah, your friends are there.
You can't go see them.
Can't go and see them just yet. And they'd make them wait. And wait.
The guards
and
would
wait.
make them
Yeah.
wait.
And other times would be like, all right, you've only got 10 minutes. So that's
And
in
it's-
for 10 minutes and that's gone.
And it's the guards making these rules, not
Guards-
the people running the
no,
experiment.
it is the guards
And
making
the people
this
running the
rule.
experiment basically are letting the guards create the experiment as it goes to
Yeah.
see how these people
Exactly
develop
right.
with their power.
Exactly right.
Okay.
So they just got crazy. Now, during all this time, the guards during the night, there is video footage. And I implore you guys to go and watch it because it is incredible footage and some of these photos and stuff.
I haven't seen this.
So the footage is actually of the guards making the prisoners play out scenes from movies.
Really?
Or like
What
plays
movie do you
and stuff.
think they were doing?
Well, one of them was, I'm pretty sure it was Frankenstein.
Interesting.
And they did Frankenstein's monster and his wife, and they had one of the prisoners play the wife of Frankenstein. And instead of making them kiss,
Some of these guards
it's just got
doing these sick fantasies they've got.
yeah.
I hope they did 1933's King Kong. That'd be fantastic. They put the bed on its top end and hum the plane.
You have these guys just flying around it, pretending they're a plane.
There's one guy on the top of the bed going, whoosh. No.
But 6 days before they've gone,
I'm done.
Something's wrong. So there were some objections from other researchers that realised how distressing it all was. So it took you 6 days to figure it out. And the increasing brutality that was exhibited by the guards in the experiment. So Zimbardo basically day 6 went, we have to stop this.
This is it.
We have to stop. Let them know the experiment was over and arranged to pay the full fee of the $14 days. All right? So it's about, $1,800 to 2000.
Yeah.
Right? He then was met for several hours and informed the whole debriefing of the first with the prisoners and the guards, and finally everyone came together to share the experiences. What's crazy about this is that in the end of the experiment, like I said, lasted 6 days out of the 2 weeks period allotted. Afterwards, the students were counselled and said to have the same PTSD symptoms as those returning from the Vietnam conflict in the 60s.
Whoa.
Now, we know how horrific that was.
Yes.
Now, when you're exhibiting the same symptoms as PTSD of the survivors of the conflict,
Like an actual, in Vietnam, I would assume, obviously I wasn't there.
No.
You would see some things.
yeah.
And to have those symptoms after just an experiment that was played out at the university is hectic.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Like there's footage of some of the guards actually going up to the prisoners and apologizing, and the prisoners.
But then
still
why did you
reeling.
go so heavy with the?
Correct, but the prisoners, the guys that were prisoners, are still reeling back, going, I think I can forgive you. I don't know if I can, not right now, but I think maybe sometime in the future I can forgive you. But right now, I don't think I can.
Yeah.
Like, this is just snippets of what actually happened. And it was very serious. Like, so Philip Zimbardo still, was a psychologist, is a psychologist. This particular experiment is the reason they have an ethics board.
Okay.
Like, this was where everybody went,
We need to
we've got to really change some things. Like, we need to think about the people we subject to this sort of experimentation.
Who knew putting people through torturous environments was bad for their mental
But what's
health?
crazy, who knew that people
Yeah, I
would
know.
change just from putting on a uniform
Well, I guess the
at a
experiment in
drop
that
of a
right.
hat?
Yeah, the experiment in that right was successful then.
Yeah.
But I wonder
within
what they were.
days.
I wonder what they were wanting out of the experiment.
So it was never actually published. It was publicly published, but
Yeah.
it wasn't actually published in a journal. So it never really made it to the whole.
So when you say it was publicly published, the experiment was published,
it's
but
like,
maybe
hey-
not the reason, or they didn't actually bring out what they were looking
no,
for.
none of the numerical evidence, none of the actual evidence they
What do you
found
think
from.
they were looking for?
I think they were actually looking to see how quickly people, just normal people, and that's why they looked for healthy, physically, mentally people, would change at the drop of here's a uniform, put it on, see what happens.
Here's this authority.
Correct. Here's the amount of
I
authority.
mean, you
that
see
I've
it at
given
like
you.
micro levels in retail and things like that when
Absolutely.
people become like the 2IC or something like that. And they're as funny as it is, and you can like make fun of, look at this person who's got a promotion at Coles.
Yeah.
You know, look at them walk around and really care about the apples and how they're stacked now.
Correct.
But like it is the same sort of thing. Obviously, this is just like a extreme situation or version of that.
Absolutely. And it's something that, as the years have gone, there's been movie adaptations.
How's that?
So there's actually...
Be interesting to watch.
Well, there's one called The Experiment. Very simple.
Where'd they get that name
Which is,
from?
I wonder. Yeah. Which has got Forrest Whitaker in it.
Okay.
And it's got Adrian Brody in it. You've seen King Kong. Speaking of King Kong, so Adrian Brody's the writer. And... yeah, so no, really, really good film. Actually, quite interesting.
How were the people in The Experiment? Do we know how did they live out their days? Or I'm sure they'd still be alive.
Later down the track, yeah. Later down the track, I think there was some, or I did read that there were interviews later. Everything was fine. Obviously, some of them still get like flashbacks, kind of like, oh, that was a bad time.
Yes.
In my 20s, I had an interesting time at university.
Haven't we all got some of those from our 20s?
Yeah, and they still pop up every so often.
I'm still in my 20s.
But yeah,
I've got some more to come.
you've still got, absolutely. We'll chuck it.
Lucky me.
We're throwing you in this wardrobe later, so that's going to be great fun.
I did sign up for that, actually.
Yeah,
I got that letter,
yeah. That's, the thing that I told you to sign in blood.
That's why you stabbed me in the hand with a
Correct.
fork.
Yes. Well, that was the only thing I had at the time.
And it all comes back around.
Goes around, goes around.
Ooh.
Anyway.
Back around.
Yeah. But yes, countless references in film and TV, as well as the study being written about for decades.
Yeah, wow, that's hectic.
Yeah. Now, like I said, Philip Zimbardo is still out there being a psychologist. Obviously, he's got a few more morals now. But his most recent thing that I read about, and I say recent, was early 2000s, was a thing called the Lucifer effect.
Ooh.
And the Lucifer effect actually touches on the fact that we are actually born with evil tendencies.
Okay.
Not just like kind of, nature versus
so they
nurture.
got a baby, they handed him a knife and went, stab.
No, not even.
Oh.
It was not nature versus nurture. It is naturally this child is evil.
How do they test that?
Well, this is the thing. This is the theory.
Okay.
But that's not what we're talking about today.
No,
I just thought it's an interesting one because these people obviously went in and did this thing and they were,
Well,
yeah.
a very gripping.
Did you like it?
Yeah, very gripping episode.
Yeah,
I did
thank
enjoy
you.
that. And
Thank
we
you
need to
very
do
much.
more things like that, I would say.
Yes, I think so. And there's plenty out there.
And if you guys would like to hear more episodes like that, let us know.
Absolutely.
Give us a thumbs up. Give us a comment. Say, oi, lads,
Yeah.
bloody keep doing episodes like that, all right?
If there's something, and I actually like this, I've been seeing people on TikTok and there's some on YouTube and stuff where people have actually either, talked about it a little bit more. Maybe there was something I've missed. Maybe there was something that you were interested in. You actually looked up a little bit more about what I spoke about. I love reading those. So feel free to chuck that on there. Put it on the TikTok and the little videos that Josh pushes up on our YouTube channels. Please put up. I love comments. I love reading the comments, especially if there's something. I'm not perfect. There's sometimes things that I've missed. So definitely put it up. I really appreciate those.
If there's one thing the viewers already knew, it's that you're not perfect.
No.
But what is perfect is the Drops of Knowledge podcast's 50th episode.
Look at that.
What a way to bring in the midlife crisis by having a breakdown like those people in the prison cells.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go have a breakdown. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Drops of Knowledge podcast.
Yes, thank you once again.
And James is going to sign us off as if he was in a prison for 6 days.
I don't want to do this anymore. Please.
Okay. Okay. Now start the outro, the bit I just said. Now just start that. Or was that it?
That was it.
Oh, but you do that every week.
It was a cry for help.
Okay. Good luck. Save him, ladies and gentlemen.
For the love of God.
Bye.
Bye.